Welcome to Miss Taylor's class notes, and today we're going to use our angle relationships to find angle measures. And a real quick review of angle relationships, we have complementary equals 90 degrees, supplementary equals 180 degrees, vertical equals, or vertical, I'm going to make this a little bit easier, are congruent, we're going to put a 3 there, and then we know that linear pairs are equal 180 degrees. So we're going to look and see if we can find these four angle relationships, and we're going to solve the problem that we're given. So if we're looking at example 1, both angles are going to share a vertex and they both have opposite rays. So that tells me these are vertical angles, and we know that vertical angles are congruent. So we know that the measure of angle X equals 112 degrees. All right, this one right here, we've got our right angle marker. Why are you not working, pencil? You turned off because you've been on for too long. So we know that this box right here equals 90 degrees. So we know they are complementary. And because they are complementary, we know that 90 minus 68 is going to give us the measure of X. So 22 degrees is going to be the measure of angle X. All right, here we have our straight angle, and we know that straight angles are going to be supplementary. It's also a linear pair because they are adjacent, but in this case, we only really care about supplementary. We know that supplementary equal 180 degrees. So we're going to go 180 minus 124, which gives us 56. So the measure of angle X equals 56 degrees. This one's a fun one because it's got a couple of our different rules, and it shows how in the future units we're going to use these angle relationships to find all kinds of great information. So the first thing I notice is all four angles have the same vertex. So I'm going to look for opposite rays. We've got one there and we've got one there. So that tells me that 43 and Y are congruent. So the measure of angle Y equals 43 degrees. And the next thing that I notice is I have a straight angle right here. We've already said that Y is 43 degrees. And if that's a straight angle, I know that Y plus X equals 180 degrees. So I can do 180 minus 43. And we get 137 degrees for the measure of angle X. And because I have a pair of opposite rays, I know that X and Z are also congruent. So the measure of angle Z equals 137 degrees as well. And again, this is another one of those fun ones where it's got a lot of our different angle relationships, and there's a couple of different ways we can find it based on what we see and how we see it. So the first thing I'm going to highlight is that we have a straight angle here and we have a 90-degree marker. So we know that this angle here is 90 degrees, and because we have the straight angle, we know that this total equals 90 degrees. So we know that Z plus 72, I'm going to make that look a lot more like a Z, equals 90 degrees. So if we go 90 minus 72, we get 18 degrees. So the measure of angle Z equals 18 degrees. The next thing that I'm going to look at and that I'm going to notice is that I have another straight angle right here. I've got X and 72 are going to equal 180 degrees. So X plus 72, they're supplementary. They're also a linear pair. And so I just need to subtract 72 from both sides. And I'm going to end up with 108 degrees equals the measure of angle X. Z, I said, was 18 degrees. And so now we've got a couple of different ways that we can break what's left down. I'm going to erase some of this here so I can draw again. I'm going to try and leave how big the angles are. So you can see this a couple of different ways. You can see the straight angle that are y and x, or you can see the straight angle that are z, y, and are 90 degrees. They will both work. They are both going to get us the same answer. I'm going to see this one right here because the math is a little bit easier. I know it's a straight angle. I know they're adjacent, so I know they're a linear pair. So I know that y plus x equals 180. I know that x is 108. Oh, we could have done this a completely different way without math. My brain's just now seeing it. We have a common vertex. We have two opposite sides, and so we know that they are congruent. And so y is the measure of angle y is going to equal 72 degrees. I told you there's lots of different ways that you can see things and a lot of different ways that you can solve these problems. So these next four give you the information you need. It tells you that they're complementary and are 90 degrees total. It tells you that they are vertical angles, which means they are congruent. It tells you that they are a linear pair, which we know is 180 degrees. And it tells you that they are supplementary, again, which is 180 degrees. I want you to go ahead and find these on your own and check them with the class notes. So now we've got some that are a little bit more complicated, but not crazily complicated. So they give us angle PQT. PQT is this angle. I'm going to label it as 3x plus 47. Then they give us the measure of SQR. So I'm going to trace SQR. It's this one right here. And it's 6x minus 25. And so if we know our angle relationships, we know these are vertical angles. And we know they are congruent. So all we have to do is set these two expressions equal to each other and solve. So I want you to go ahead and solve this and check your answers with the class notes. All right, so this next problem tells me that AB is perpendicular to CD. So I have AB right here. We have CD right here. And so perpendicular tells me 90 degrees is where those two lines meet. So I'm going to draw my right angle marker. And now I know that DCE is 7x plus 2. And I know that ECB is x plus 8. And so because we wrote this right angle marker here on this side, I know that these two angles are also 90 degrees, which means they are complementary. So now, again, I can write this in an algebraic equation. 7x plus 2 plus x plus 8 equals 90 degrees because they are complementary. Again, go ahead and solve this one on your own. Just be careful because it wants the measure of DCE, not x. The one before it also wanted SQR. All right, so our last example problem. Angle MNM is 8x minus 5. MKNM is 8x minus 5. And then MNJ is 4x minus 19. So we have a straight angle. We have an adjacent pair of angles, so we know they are supplementary and a linear pair. So we know that 8x minus 5 not equals, plus 4x minus 19 equals 180 degrees. So go ahead and solve for x and find the measure of KNM.